I am a relationship expert and a therapist. So you can imagine when I am at a dinner party and someone asks me, what do you do? I get a lot of information. Some of it I regret. But the bottom line is what I hear time and time again is people explaining to me how lonely they feel in relationship. And what I find more often than not, women coming to me and sharing with me how not only do they feel lonely, but they're reporting to me how lost they feel in their relationships. Lost because they gave up a part of themselves in order to be in relationship. Happens to be women that the universe is bringing to me for that. It's not only women. But I will speak to that because I too gave up myself in order to be in a relationship 20 years ago. And for almost 20 years. So let's just time travel back a little bit. My hair was kind of the same. I was a backcountry guide on the West Coast Trail of Canada. Anybody know about the West Coast Trail? Yeah. So I was the only female lead commercial guide at the time. And I took a lot of pride in that because I was competing with men. And so with that, I also grew out my hair. So I had hairy legs, hairy armpits, and I took a lot of pride in learning how to stand and pee with my shorts on. Oh yeah. So imagine my disappointment when my mother called me and she let me know that my brother is getting married. Disappointment for me because I knew I would have to wear a dress. Getting me in a dress was going to be quite the effort. Anyway, my mom did a really good job of convincing me with a free airline ticket that I was going to go to this wedding. Little did I realize that there was going to be a dress intervention on the other side of that hour, 20-minute flight. Yes, a half a day of us negotiating whether or not I was actually going to wear a dress. They got me in one. I picked out the ugliest sundress possible that I could still have hairy legs. So the wedding went well. Fast forward to the end of the week. Following that, I went back to Victoria and kept on doing my thing. And my mom calls me up and she lets me know, hey, did you know that I got a phone call from my boss? His name is Dean Zipsy. Or sorry, not a phone call. He actually came into her office, plunked his butt down on her desk and leaned in and said, why didn't you tell me you have such a beautiful daughter? Why did you keep her a secret? And how do I get to know her? Sounds romantic, doesn't it? See, the interesting thing is they collaborated on getting us together on the first weekend. What I grew up with was a message that was, my brother was going to be an aeronautical engineer, my step-siblings were going to be nurses and whatever they were going to be. But my hopes and aspirations were, Taunya, you better marry rich. So, romantic, I don't know. Anyway, fast forward to that weekend, and I, right before that, was out on the West Coast Trail, guiding, getting pelted by rain and a wicked storm, duct taping my toes, my bleeding toes, and starting to think about this Prince Charming that all of a sudden was really captivated by me. And this Prince Charming that could rescue me and could provide for me, and I could have this white picket fence. It was extremely enticing as I was freezing my ass off out on the ocean. So we're at this weekend, and it was my job to go pick him up. So I go to the Kelowna airport, and I'm there, and all of these people are getting off the plane. And I'm like, oh, is it him? Oh wow, him? Him? And next thing you know, this schlumpy guy, balding, pot belly, all hunched over, gets off the plane, comes right up to me, he's like, hey baby. Oh my gosh, shit. How am I gonna get out of this? A whole weekend of this. But when you know it, 40 minutes later, we're pulling up to this house in Vernon, and he has charmed the shit out of me. We are now arranging for the next date when I'm in Calgary and I'm going to be riding his Harley Davidson. And I was excited. I'm like, oh Oh yeah, this is exciting. So the weekend happens, he's pulling out his Visa Gold card and all these promises, and I am hook, line, and sinker. I am about to get rescued. Of course, I didn't know that at the time, but I was excited. So we date. I'm living in Victoria, he's living in Calgary. I'm doing a program that's going to eventually get me to Calgary. And one of these times, in the first month, I'm on the phone with him. I'm telling him how excited I am about this new tattoo I'm going to get. 7 daisies in a ring. Oh, it's going to be amazing. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. All right. That night, I got the tattoo. It looks so amazing. I can't tell you what he said, but I can tell you that I felt fear. And I can tell you that I really wasn't certain as to how come, because his words were nice. But somehow I couldn't get past that I've done something really, really wrong. So I got off the phone and I'm like, what, excuse my fucking control freak. And I was done. It was easy. I'm like, all right, on I go. Free spirit, you can't hold me down. The next day, I get 70 daisies. I'm like, what, 24 or something like that? And I'm a backcountry guide. I'm not making a lot of money. 70 daisies. It was amazing. And my girlfriends and I are looking at this and like, oh, he paid attention. That's amazing. And then a courier comes in with a cassette tape of the very first movie we ever saw, Armageddon. And in there is a song that has the lyrics, I don't want to miss a thing. And so the next thing I know, I'm on the phone with him. And he's telling me how he doesn't want to miss a thing in my life. Oh, well, that makes sense. That's why that whole thing happened. And so it began. You would think that would have been my first flag, and I would have hung in with that. But I was not in relationship with myself. All I wanted was a relationship. So fast forward, I moved to Calgary. I didn't want to move in with him. He did. I moved in with him. We got engaged. I was very excited. He picked the wedding date, 5/10/2000. Pretty cool. Works for me. We have kids. Everything seems to be going fine. There's these moments I would get off the phone, and I couldn't figure out quite what was happening. It felt like I was getting criticized because I was being told kind of how I should be speaking, but it was never mean. I would be going out for a client event, and I would all of a sudden find myself going back into the closet and changing again. But again, it didn't quite make sense to me. Fast forward a little bit further, our son happens to be, he has some health challenges. Many a night I was in the hospital with him arranging childcare for our daughter while he's out at a client event. And yet I was the one that there was something wrong. My grandmother, the very dear, safe side adult I had in my life, she passed. That night, instead of being with my family, I was convinced and brought into a client event instead of grieving her loss. Fast forward to Texas. I was so excited about moving to Texas. You get to have a pool in the backyard. You get to have, I got to live out what I saw on all the movies. No frickin' snow. So, we moved down there. Within 2 weeks, we're sitting at a dining room table, our dining room table, and my head is spinning. I don't understand how come all of a sudden my character is being slandered, and how come I can't hold on to my reality, and what the heck is happening? This continues on. And what do? I start running from my emotions. So growing up, I was the chameleon. I would change and shapeshift as to who you needed me to be in front of you. And I couldn't do that anymore. And so I started to be an Ironman athlete. I trained massive miles to run from my emotions. I also became the best stay-at-home mom that you could possibly be, because that was what I was. And so before my kids would even pour their cereal into their bowl, I would have just the perfect amount of milk in their bowl. Just as he was walking in the house, I would be making sure everything was good and pushing the kids away so that they weren't a part of what was about to come. Over and over, I became the most perfect stay-at-home wife. And everything was fine. Until one day, I decided that I was going to go and get all my errands done. And I was in my white minivan, pulled into the Target parking lot, just about to jump out and go shop the hell out of that Target. Open the door, and I am gripped with the most intense feeling that I have ever experienced. Remember, I run from my feelings. I had yet to feel anything massive. So the door is open, and this intense, tight sensation, like a hand is coming up through my diaphragm to choke me out. And I didn't know what the hell to do, and I didn't know what was happening. And I could hear in my head this voice say to me, sit in your feeling. Happened to be my teacher's voice at the time. See, I decided to train and become a counselor, and it fit nicely in my schedule. But what I didn't know is it would rock my freaking world. So my teacher's voice saying, sit in your feeling. I'm like, holding on for dear life. I'm like, how the fuck am I going to sit in my feeling? I slam the door and I hold on this steering wheel, and all I found myself doing was sit in your feeling, sit in your feeling. And my head would drop down, and I started to pay attention to that incredible intensity in my chest that I would otherwise run from. And I was sit in my feeling, sit in my feeling, sit in my feeling. And I found very shortly, as I put my attention down, I took these deep breaths. And another deep breath. And again another. And next thing I know, I'm actually sitting in this intense feeling, and for the first time in my life, I was safe, I was okay. And as I breathed into this sensation, it relaxed, and my belly expanded with breath. And all of a sudden, information came up of, Taunya, you can no longer live your life like this. This is no longer okay. Now, I didn't know what I was going to do with that and how I was going to move with it, but all I knew is in that moment, if I breathe into my feelings and I hang out there for a moment, something comes up. I get some wisdom. And so I started to practice that. And I had a lot of opportunities to feel a lot of feelings, because when you put it away for 25 years, it comes up pretty strong. And so every moment I had a big sensation, I would breathe into it, and I would gain wisdom. And it was easier for me when I would notice it with my children, because there was boundaries and needs in every moment I felt something big. And so for them, I could speak. I could say, it's not okay for you to flick them. It's not okay for you to grip them. It's not okay for you to attack their character. And I could stand big and proud with that. But what I couldn't do as easily was to hold on to my boundaries until I practiced this a little while. And the first area that I really got into practice was something called taking one for the team. Anybody know what that means? Take one for the team? Yeah. That is when you have sex so that you make everything okay. Where you pleasure them so that everything is okay. Well, finally, in one of those moments, it was no longer okay, and I said, you may not. You may fucking not. And in that moment, I rocked the foundation of our marriage, because he was my Prince Charming, and that was his position, and it no longer was. And so we had to reorder everything. 8 years of reordering it. Fast forward to about a year and a half ago, and my daughter had gone through some horrific trauma. And what that does, when something happens in your family system, is it brings it out for everybody to see. And so what I saw was something I could no longer ignore. I could only see this unhealthy relationship that was happening to myself and my kids that I was a part of, because I didn't value myself enough. Because I wasn't in relationship with myself when we first got in relationship. I put my needs and myself away so that I could have my Prince Charming. And so from then on, as everything got aired out, I could no longer deny what was in front of me. And so finally, I went home just last October, and I let him know that either you move out or the kids and I do. And in that moment was my freedom. In that moment, I knew in every ounce of my body that I was an empowered woman, and I will create for my children the very moments that we were able to have when he wasn't there. We had happiness, we had lightness, we had joy, but when he was there, it always would end. And so I was able to create this for my kids and for myself. And I was excited, I was empowered, I was bigger than this world over those few months. And I remember myself saying, okay, this is awesome. I am never going to get in a relationship. Okay, maybe I'll get in one in June. June will be my date. And so I wrote down all the characteristics of the parts of a relationship that I wanted. Fun, play, deep-hearted connection, authenticity, validation, vulnerability, honesty. And I wrote it out, and I'm like, June I can start to date. Awesome. Well, wouldn't you know it, the universe decided they would, play along a little bit, mess things up. So December, I was out at a meetup, and I had the opportunity of this incredible woman walking up to me and placing her hand on my lower back. And in that moment, there was so much electricity as she awoke something in me that had been compromised for decades. And we got to go out on some dates. And from that moment, I have been able to experience the very pieces that I believe in, the very things that I teach, the very things that I, to my core, believe that we can experience in relationship. I have been met in validation, vulnerability, authenticity, all of the core values that I encourage my couples to go through, encourage my individuals to go through, and to step into. So what is absolutely remarkable is that woman over there, Linda Craig, has allowed me not only to experience the very thing that I fully believe in, but she has also awoken something in me that my daughter, who is 17 years old, has walked up to me multiple times and said to me, "Thank you, Mom, for modeling for me what is possible. Thank you, Mom, for the laughter, the light," and she hears us laugh. And she no longer will stand for what I did model for her prior. She knows what's different now. And so what I want for you all tonight and moving forward is please listen to your emotions. Please give a little credence to that feeling that will surface. And please hear my voice say, sit in your feeling. Even if you cuss me out in that moment. Sit in it, breathe into it. Because in your emotions, in your feelings, are your needs and boundaries. And it's there, when you sit in it and you experience that, you'll have the words that you need. This world is full of richness and love and excitement. But you first need to be in relationship with yourself before you can experience any of that. And I now am living proof of that. So thank you so much.